This really ain't the remix. I wouldn't put you through that shit.
Burn them up! Y'all know what that mean, man. Your hood, definitely in the building. Facts. Yeah. Woo. Everybody claim they're a boss. How they winning when his brother lost? Brother chicken, you should pick a sauce. Line through the teeth, dinner floss. Free to listen, but the flavor cost. Special made, this a different toss. Your who would like this a different gloss. Still tasting, I'ma shake it off. Eat fire, don't take it off. 12 tries, I remember. Fire hot, no simmer. Burn it up, I'm on ember. I'ma carry my temper. Gotta pay what I owe. Common man on the outside, inside on glow. Elevator got the upside. Can't stop, I got no time. I'ma hit him where it hurt. Definition of a punchline. Y'all got me on 10. Real men don't bend. Comfortable with my skin. True music go in. Toy game 100. Friends game 100. Beer game 100. Creative player 100. Target like I miss no shot. My goal is out no spot. Straight truth, I don't flip-flop. I walk open like flip-flop. Like a pure no mix-up. Fine wine, I drink big cups. I don't really need much. Born with everything to beam up. Still brother on my team up. Never hating on the same mission. Cross the land getting leaked up. As long as they got the same. By righteous, I'm with it. Yeah, keeping it right is a lot. We don't be doing religion. You cannot take me at all. They gotta make my decision. All it took is a call. You knew I was with it. And I told them put the weight on me. You can put the weight on me. You can put the weight on me. Told them put the weight on me. You can put the weight on me. If it's by righteous, I'm with it. If it's by righteous, I'm with it. If it's by righteous, I'm with it. If it's by righteous, I'm with it.
Red Cross deeply troubled as aid convoy attacked in Azah City. A convoy carrying life-saving medical supplies to health facilities in Azah City comes under fire, injuring a driver. A humanitarian aid convoy has come under fire in Azah City, according to the International Committee of the Red Cross. 2 trucks were damaged and a driver lightly wounded as the ICRC convoy, which was carrying life-saving medical supplies to health facilities, including to Al-Quds Hospital of the Palestinian Crescent Society, was hit by fire, the medical NGO said on Tuesday. The ICRC said it was deeply troubled about the incident and reminded the warring parties of their obligation under international humanitarian law to respect and protect humanitarian workers at all times. Is this war the deadliest conflict for children in modern times? Countries are severing ties with Israel over all this. The statement did not identify the source of the fire on the convoy, which consisted of 5 trucks and 2 ICRC vehicles. Following the incident, the convoy altered its route to reach Al-Shifa Hospital, where it delivered the medical supplies, the ICRC said. The convoy then accompanied 6 ambulances with critically wounded patients to the Rafah crossing from Azah in Egypt. These are not the conditions under which humanitarian personnel can work, said Billy Scomberg, head of the ICRC sub-delegation in Azah. Ensuring that vital aid can reach medical facilities is a legal obligation under international humanitarian law. ICRC, a neutral organization based in Geneva, has escorted patients and transported freed captives out of Azah. Since the day after the Sassoon Codex landed to a warm reception on the tarmac in the House of the Thief, the bombardment has killed more than 10,000 of those people 40% of them children. So would that be 4,000 children they've killed? According to accounts by Gaza health officials. And I hope someone right now is saying, that's not true. If it's coming from Gaza, it's not true. Well, that could be true. It might not be true. But all the smashed buildings that I've seen, the before and after satellite images of that place, makes me think that it might be true. Nearly 2/3 of Gaza's 23 million residents are internally displaced, according to the UN figures, with thousands seeking refuge at hospitals, including in makeshift canvas shelters in their car parks. They'll be all right. Hospitals across the enclave have come under fire, with many struggling to continue operating amid shortages of fuel and medical supplies. They'll be all right. The UN says Gaza's health, sanitation, water, and food services are nearing a breaking point. Look at that guy. Just imagine what their life is like right now. And I'm sure that if any Fox type people watch this video and they see what I just shown them, and between that and the fact that I didn't make the remix, I bet their panties are all twisted in a bunch. But that's all right, because the remix that you are hearing, that you're seeing, that you're shaking in your boots over, that's that renewed song that you could learn, but you probably will choose not to. But just like all things, you'll choose not to, but be butthurt that you don't know it. Isaiah chapter 1. The vision of Yeshayahu, Isaiah son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, sovereign of Yehuda. Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth. For Yahuwah has spoken, I have reared and brought up children, but they have transgressed against me. An ox knows its owner, and even a donkey its master's crib. Yasharal does not know. My people have not understood. Alas, sinning nation, a people loaded with crookedness, a seed of evildoers, sons acting corruptly. They have forsaken Yahuwah. They have provoked to set apart one of Yasharal. They went backward. Why should you be stricken anymore? You continue in apostasy. All the head is sick, and all the heart faints. From the sole of the foot to the head, there is no soundness in it. Wounds and bruises and open sores. They have not been closed or bound up or soothed with ointment. Your land is laid waste. Your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is laid waste as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a booth in a vineyard, as a hut in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Unless Yahuwah of hosts had left to us a small remnant, we would have become like Sodom. We would have been made like Amorah. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear to the Torah of our mighty Most High, you people of Amorah. Of what use to me are your many slaughterings, declares Yahuwah. I have had enough of ascending offerings of rams and the fat of fed beast. I do not delight in the blood of bulls or of lambs or goats. When you come to appear before me, who has required this from your hand, to trample my courtyards? Stop bringing futile offerings, incense. It is an abomination to me. New moons, Shabbats, the calling of gatherings. I am unable to bear unrighteous and assembly. My being hates your new moons and your appointed times. They are a trouble to me. I am weary of bearing them. And when you spread out your hands, I hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, I do not hear. Your hands have become filled with blood. Wash yourselves, make yourselves clean, put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Stop doing evil. Learn to do good, seek right ruling, reprove the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, says Yahuwah. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If you submit and obey, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. How the steadfast city has become a whore. I have filled it with right ruling, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. Your silver has become dross, your wine is mixed with water. Your rulers are stubborn and companions of thieves. Everyone loves bribes and runs after rewards. They do not defend the fatherless, nor does the cause of the widow reach them. Therefore, the Master declares, Yahuwah of hosts, the Master declares, Yahuwah of hosts, the mighty one of Yasharal, I shall be eased of my adversaries, and I shall be avenged of my enemies. And I shall turn my hand against you, and shall refine your dross as with lye, and shall remove all your alloy. And I shall give back your judges as at first, and your counselors as at the beginning. After this you shall be called the city of righteousness, a steadfast city. Sion shall be ransomed with right ruling, and her returning ones with righteousness. And the destruction of transgressors and of sinners is together, and those who forsake Yahuwah shall be consumed. For they shall be ashamed of the terebinth trees which you have desired, and you shall be embarrassed because of the gardens which you have chosen. For you shall be as a terebinth whose leaf fades, and as a garden that has no water. The strong shall be for tow, and his work for a spark, and both shall burn together with no one to extinguish. The word that Isaiah Yeshayahu, the son of Amos, saw concerning Yehuda and Yerushalayim. And it shall be in the latter days that the mountain of the house of Yahuwah is established on the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. And many people shall come up and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the mighty Most High of Jacob, and let him teach us his ways, and let us walk in his paths. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah from Yerushalayim. And he shall judge between the nations, and shall reprove many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither teach battle any more. O house of Jacob, come and let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. For you have forsaken your people, the house of Jacob, because they have been filled from the east, and practice magic like the Philistines. And they are pleased with the children of foreigners, and their land is filled with silver and gold. There is no end to their treasures. And their land is filled with horses, and there is no end to their chariots. And their land is filled with idols. They bow themselves to the work of their own hands, to their own fingers, to what their own fingers have made. And the lowly bows down, and the high is humbled. Therefore you do not forgive them. Enter into the rock, and hide in the dust, because of the fear of Yahuwah and the splendor of his excellency. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, the pride of men shall be bowed down, and Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. For Yahuwah of hosts has a day against all that is proud and lofty, against all that is lifted up, so that it is brought low, and against all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and against all the oaks of Bashan, and against all the high mountains, and against all the hills that are lifted up, and against every lofty tower, and against every strong wall, and against all the ships of Tarshish, and against all the desirable craft. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the pride of men shall be brought low, and Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. Comprende? And the idols completely pass away, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth, from dread of Yahuwah and the splendor of his excellency, when he arises to shake the earth mightily. In that day man shall throw away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each for himself to worship to the moles and bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the crags of the rugged rocks, because of the fear of Yahuwah and the splendor of his excellency, when he arises to shake the earth mightily. Cease from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for in what is he to be reckoned upon? For look, the Master Yahuwah of hosts is turning aside from Jerusalem and from Yehuda the stock and the store, all the supply of bread and all the supply of water, the mighty man and the man of battle, the judge and the prophet and the diviner and the elder, the commander of 50 and the highly respected man, and the counselor and skilled craftsman and the clever enchanter. And I shall make use their heads, and children shall rule over them, and the people shall exert pressure, man on his neighbor. The young rise up against the older, and the lightly esteemed against the highly esteemed. When a man takes hold of his brother in the house of his father by the garment and says, Come, be a chief over us, and let this ruin be under your hand, he shall swear in that day, saying, I'm not a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor garment. Do not make me a chief of the people. They don't literally say this, my friends, but that's what they're saying. They don't want to have to get jiggy with it. They're not going to take this serious. They want someone else to do it for them. At your service. For Jerusalem has stumbled and Yehuda has fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yahuwah, to provoke the eyes of his esteem. The look on their faces witnesses against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They do not hide it. Woe to their being, for they have brought evil upon themselves. Say to the righteous, it is well, for they eat the fruit of their doings. Woe to the wrong, evil, for the reward of his hand is done to him. My peoples, youths exert pressure on them, and women rule over them. O my people, your leaders lead you astray and swallow the way of your paths. Yahuwah shall stand up to plead, and is standing to judge the peoples. Yahuwah enters into judgment with the elders of his people and its heads. It is you who have eaten up the vineyard. The plunder of the poor is in your houses. What do you mean by crushing my people and grinding the faces of the poor, declares the Master Yahuwah of hosts. And Yahuwah says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with outstretched necks and seductive eyes, walking and mincing as they go, making a jingling with their feet. Therefore Yahuwah shall smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahuwah expose their nakedness. In that day Yahuwah takes away the finery of the anklets and the headbands and the crescents, the pendants, the bracelets and the veils, the headdresses and the leg ornaments and the sashes and the perfume bottles and the amulets, the rings and the nose jewels, the costly robes and the cloaks and the shawls and the purses, the mirrors and the fine linen and the turbans and the large veils. And it shall be, instead of a sweet fragrance, a smell of decay, and instead of a belt, a rope, and instead of a well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a festal robe, a girding of sackcloth, and branding instead of loveliness. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your strength in battle. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, deserted, shall sit on the ground. And in that day 7 women shall take a hold of one man, saying, We shall eat our own food and wear our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name to take away our reproach. In that day the branch of Yahuwah shall be splendid and esteemed, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for the escaped ones of Yasharal. And it shall be that he who is left in Sion and he who remains in Jerusalem is called set apart. Everyone who is written among the living in Jerusalem. When Yahuwah has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion and rinsed away the blood of Jerusalem from her midst by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Take note. Then Yahuwah shall create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and above her gatherings a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For over all the esteem shall be a covering, and a booth for shade in the daytime from the heat, and a place of refuge, and for a shelter from the storm. Please let me sing to the one I love. Yeah, baby. A song for my loved one regarding his vineyard. My loved one has a vineyard on a fertile hill. And he dug it up and cleared it of stones and planted it with the choicest vine and built a watchtower in its midst and also made a winepress in it. And he waited for the yielding of grapes, but it yielded rotten ones. And now, O inhabitant Jerusalem and man of Yehuda, please judge between me and my vineyard. What more could have been done to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why, when I waited for the yielding of grapes, did it yield rotten ones? And now please let me inform you what I am doing to my vineyard, to take away its hedge, and it shall be burned, to break down its wall, and it shall be trampled down. And I lay it waste, it is not pruned or dug, and thorn bushes and weeds shall come up, and I command the clouds not to rain on it. For the vineyard of Yahuwah of hosts is the house of Yasharal, and the man of Yehuda is his pleasant plant. He looked for right ruling, but see oppression, for righteousness, but see weeping. Woe to those who join house to house, who add field to field until there is no room, and you are made to dwell alone in the midst of the land. In my hearing, Yahuwah of hosts said, truly many houses shall be a waste, big and fine ones, without inhabitant. For 10 acres of vineyard yield 1 bath, and a homer of sealed yields 1 ephah. Woe to those who rise early in the morning pursuing strong drink, who stay up late at night, wine inflames them. And the lyre and the harp, the tambourine and flute, the wine are in their feast, but they do not regard the deeds of Yahuwah, nor see the work of his hands. Therefore my people have gone into exile, because they have no knowledge, and their esteemed men are starved, and their crowd dried up with thirst. Therefore Sheol has made itself wide and opened its mouth without law. Their splendor and their crowd and their uproar, and he who is exalting within her shall go down into it. And man is bowed down, and mortal man humbled, and the eyes of the proud are humbled. But Yahuwah of hosts is exalted in judgment, and the set apart Most High is set apart in righteousness. And the lambs shall feed in their pasture, and strangers shall eat in the waste places of the fat ones. Woe to those who draw crookedness with cords of falsehood, and sin as with wagon ropes, who are saying, let him hurry. Let him hasten his work so that we see it, and let the counsel of the set apart one of Yasharal draw near and come so that we know. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. Woe to the mighty to drink wine, and brave men to mix strong drink, who declare right the wrong for a bribe, and the righteousness of the righteous they turn aside from him. Therefore, as a tongue of fire devours the stubble, and the flame consumes the chaff, the root is as rottenness, and their blossom goes up like dust, because they have rejected the Torah of Yahuwah of hosts, and despised the word of the set apart one of Yasharal. Therefore the displeasure of Yahuwah has burned against his people, and he stretches out his hand against them and strikes them, and the mountains tremble. And their carcass is as filth in the middle of the streets. With all this his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. And he shall lift up a banner to the nations from afar, and shall whistle to them from the end of the earth. And see, they come 160 swiftly. Not one of them is weary or stumbling, not one slumbers or sleeps. Not a belt shall be loosened on their loins, nor the thong of their sandals be broken. Their arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hoofs shall seem like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roar is like that of a lion, their roar like young lions, and they growl and seize prey and slip away with no one to rescue. And in that day they shall growl over it, as with growling of the sea. And one shall look at the earth and see darkness and distress, and light shall be darkened by the clouds. In the year that sovereign Uzziah died, I saw Yahuwah sitting on a throne high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the Hekal. Above it stood seraphim, each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one cried to another and said, set apart, set apart, set apart is Yahuwah of hosts. All the earth is filled with his esteem. And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried out. Not the door, the post of the door. Yeah. And the house was filled with smoke. And I said, woe to me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the sovereign Yahuwah of hosts. And one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a live coal which he had taken with the tongs from the slaughter place. And he touched my mouth with it and said, see, this has touched your lips, your crookedness is taken away, and your sin is covered. How is Jacob's sin covered? By returning in rest. Why did he touch his lips with the hot coal from the slaughter place? It wasn't literal. They're not into pain rituals and all that kind of stuff, like snuff stuff. A hot coal from the slaughter place touching your lips means that now you've seen the truth of the slaughter place, and it's going to come out your mouth, and it's going to burn down all the BS. And that's how your sins are covered. And I heard the voice of Yahuwah saying, whom do I send, and whom would go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. And he said, go, and you shall say to this people, hear and you hear, but do not understand, and see and you see, but do not know. Make the heart of this people fat and their ears heavy, and shut their eyes lest they see with their ears and hear with their eyes and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and shall turn and be healed. Then I said, Yahuwah, until when? And he answered, until the cities are laid waste and without inhabitant, and the houses are without a man, and the land is laid waste and a ruin. And Yahuwah has removed men far away, and the forsaken places be many in the midst of the land. But still there is a 10th part in it, and it shall again be for a burning, like a terebinth tree and like an oak, whose stump remains when it is cut down. The set apart seed is its stump. And it came to be, in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, sovereign of Yehuda, that Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remulah, sovereign of Yasharal, went up to Jerusalem to fight against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was reported to the house of Daud, saying, Aram has set up camp in Ephraim, and his heart and the heart of his people were moved as the trees of the forest are moved with the wind. And Yahuwah said to Yeshayahu, Isaiah, go out now to meet Ahaz, you and Sheryashab, your son, at the end of the channel of the upper pool on the highway of the launderer's field, and say to him, take heed and be calm. Do not fear or be faint-hearted for these 2 stubs of smoking firebrands, for the fierce displeasure of Retzin and Aram and the son of Remulah. Because Aram, Ephraim, and the son of Remulah have plotted evil against you, saying, let us go up against Yehuda and tear it apart, break it open for ourselves, and set a sovereign over them, the son of Tabiel. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, it is not going to stand, nor shall it take place. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Retzin. And within 65 years Ephraim is to be broken as a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is the son of Remulah. If you do not believe, you ain't steadfast. And Yahuwah spoke again to Ahaz, saying, ask a sign for yourself from Yahuwah, your mighty Most High. Make the deep request for it, make it high. But Ahaz said, I do not ask nor try Yahuwah. And he said, hear now, O house of Daud, is it not enough that you weary men, that you weary my Most High also? Therefore Yahuwah himself gives you a sign. Look, the Alma conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. I hope you understand what that means. Verse 15, the land of milk and honey. The only way everyone's going to be completely to the point of knowing to refuse evil and choose the good is when they eat curds and honey. For before the child knows to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread is to be forsaken by both her sovereigns. Yahuwah brings on you and your people and your father's house days that have not come since the day that Ephraim turned away from Yehuda, the sovereign of Ashur. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah whistles for the fly that is in the farthest part of the rivers of Mitzrayim, and for the bee that is in the land of Ashur. And they shall come, and all them shall rest in the steep ravines, and in the clefts of the rocks, and in all weeds, and in all pastures. In that day Yahuwah shall shave with a razor hired beyond the river, with the sovereign of Ashur, the head and the hair of the legs, and also remove the beard. And it shall be in that day that a man keeps alive a young cow and 2 sheep. And it shall be that he shall eat curds because of the plenty milk he gets, for everyone left in the land shall eat curds, when he knows to do good, and choose that which is not evil. And it shall be in that day, every place where they were 1,000 vines worth 1,000 shekels of silver, let it be for thorn bushes and weeds. With arrows and bows one shall go there, because all the land shall be thorn bushes and weeds, and to all the hills which were tilled with the hoe you do not go, for fear of thorn bushes and weeds, but it shall be for sending oxen to, and a place for sheep to roam. And Yahuwah said to me, take a large tablet and write on it with a man's pen concerning Maher Shalal Hash-Baz. And let me take reliable witness to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah son of Yebakayu. And I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. And Yahuwah said to me, call his name Maher Shalal Hash-Baz. For before the child knows to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria is taken away before the sovereign of Ashur. And Yahuwah spoke to me again, saying, inasmuch as these people refuse the waters of Shiloh that flow softly, and rejoice in Retzin and in Remulah's son, now therefore see, Yahuwah brings up over them the waters of the river, strong and mighty, and the sovereign of Ashur in all his esteem. And he shall come up over all his channels, and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Yehuda, he shall overthrow, pass through, reaching up to the neck. And the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel. Be shattered, O you peoples, and be broken in pieces. Give ear, all you from the far places of the earth. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Brokenhearted, take counsel, and it comes to nothing. Speak a word, and it does not stand. For the mighty Most High is with us. For Yahuwah spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, do not say a conspiracy theory concerning all that this people call a conspiracy theory, nor be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. Yahuwah of hosts, him you shall set apart. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a set apart place, but a stone of stumbling, and a rock that makes for falling to both houses of Yasharal, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall, and be broken and snared and taken. Bind up the witness, seal the Torah among my taught ones. And I shall wait on Yahuwah, who hides his face from the house of Jacob, and I shall look for him. Look, I and the children whom Yahuwah has given me, for signs and wonders in Yasharal from Yahuwah of hosts, who dwells in Mount Zion. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their Most High? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? To the Torah and to the witness, if they do not speak according to this word, it is because they have no daybreak. And they shall pass through it hard-pressed and hungry. And it shall be when they are hungry, and they shall be wroth and curse their sovereign and their Most High, looking forward. And they shall look to the earth and see distress and darkness, gloom of hard times, and be driven into thick darkness. But there is no gloom upon her who is distressed, as when at first he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterwards more heavily oppressed her by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan in Galilee of the nations. The people who were walking in darkness have seen a great light. Upon those who dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, a light has shone. You shall increase the nation. You shall make its joy great. They shall rejoice before you as in the joy of harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For you shall break the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every boot of one trampling in tumult, and coat rolled in blood shall be used for burning and fuel of fire. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests who were in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of Yahuwah came in the days of Josiah, son of Ammon, sovereign of Yehuda, in the 13th year of his reign. And it came in the days of Jehoiakim, son of Yeshayahu, sovereign of Yehuda, until the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, son of Yeshayahu, sovereign of Yehuda, until the exile of Jerusalem in the 5th new moon. Now the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. Before you came out of the womb, I did set you apart. I appointed you a prophet to the nations, and said, Master Yahuwah, see, I do not know how to speak, for I am a youth. And Yahuwah said to me, Do not say I am a youth, but go to all whom I send you, and speak whatever I command you. Don't worry about your epicry. Do not fear their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, declares Yahuwah. Then Yahuwah put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And Yahuwah said to me, See, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the reigns, to root out, to pull down, to destroy, and to overthrow, to build and to plant. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, What do you see, Jeremiah? And I said, I see a branch of an almond tree. And Yahuwah said to me, You have seen well, for I am watching over my word to do it. And the word of Yahuwah came to me a second time, saying, What do you see? And I said, I see a boiling pot, and it is facing away from the north. And Yahuwah said to me, Out of the north evil is set loose on all the inhabitants of the land. For look, I am calling all the clans of the reigns of the north, declares Yahuwah, and they shall come, and each one set his throne at the entrance of the gates of Jerusalem, against all its walls all around, and against all the cities of Yehuda. And I shall pronounce my judgments against them concerning all their evil, because they have forsaken me, burned incense to other mighty ones, and bowed themselves to the works of their own hands. Now gird up your loins and arise, and speak to them all that I command you. Do not break down before their faces, lest I break you before them. For look, I have made you this day a walled city, and an iron column, and bronze walls against all the land, against the sovereigns of Yehuda, against her heads, against her priests, and against all the people of the land. And they shall fight against you, but not prevail against you. For I am with you, declares Yahuwah, to deliver you. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Go, and you shall cry in the hearing of Jerusalem, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, I remember you, the loving commitment of your youth, the love of your bridehood, when you went after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Yasharal was set apart to Yahuwah, the first fruits of his increase. All who ate of it became guilty. Evil came upon them, declares Yahuwah. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O house of Jacob, and all the clans of the house of Yasharal. Thus said Yahuwah, What unrighteousness have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me, and went after worthlessness, and became worthless? And did not they say, Where is Yahuwah, who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, who led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and pits, through a land of drought and the shadow of death, a land that no one passed through, and where no one dwelt? Then I brought you into a garden land, to eat its fruit and its goodness. But when you entered, you defiled my land, and made my inheritance an abomination. The priest did not say, Where is Yahuwah? And those who handled the Torah did not know me, and the shepherds transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after matters that did not profit. Therefore I still contend with you, declares Yahuwah, and with your children's children I contend. For pass beyond the isles of Kittim and see, and send to Kedar and observe well, and see if there has been any like this. Has a nation changed its mighty ones, which are not mighty ones? But my people have changed my esteem for that which does not profit. Be amazed, O heavens, at this, and be frightened, be utterly dried up, declares Yahuwah. For my people have done two crimes, two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, to hew out for themselves cisterns, cracked cisterns, which do not hold water. Is Yasharal a servant? Was he born in the house? Why is he given to plunder? The young lions roared at him, they growled and made his land waste. His cities have been burned without inhabitant. Even the sons of Naph and of Taphanes have shaven the crown of your head. Have you not done this to yourself by forsaking Yahuwah, your Most High, when he led you in the way? And now why take the way of Egypt to drink the waters of Shihor? Or why take the way of Ashur to drink the waters of the river? Your own evil instructs you, and your backslidings reprove you. Know therefore and see that it is evil and bitter that you have forsaken Yahuwah your mighty Most High, and that my fear is not in you, declares the Master Yahuwah of hosts. For of old I have broken your yoke and torn off your chastisements, and you said, I'm not serving you, when on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down a hoe. Yet I had planted you a choice vine, all of it a true seed. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of a strange vine? Although you wash yourself with lye and use much soap, yet your crookedness is ingrained before me, declares the Master Yahuwah. How do you say, I am not defiled, I have not gone after Baals? See your way in the valley, know what you have done, a swift dromedary breaking loose in her ways. A wild donkey used to the wilderness, sniffing the wind in the desire of her being. In her time of mating, who turns away? All those who seek her need not weary themselves. In her month they find her. Keep your foot from being bare, and your throat from thirst. But you said, it is useless, because I love strangers, and after them I go. As the thief is ashamed when he is found out, so is the house of Yasharal ashamed, they and their sovereigns, and their heads, and their priests, and their prophets. Say unto a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. For they have turned their back to me, and not their face, but in the time of their calamity they say, arise, and save us. They say, oh my God, every time, don't they? But where are your mighty ones that you have made for yourselves? Let them arise. See if they save you in the time of your calamity, because your mighty ones have become as many as your cities, O Yehudah. Why do you complain to me? You all have transgressed against me, declares Yahuwah. In vain have I stricken your children. They received no instruction. Your sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of Yahuwah. Have I been a wilderness to Yasharal, or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we have broken loose, we come to you no more? Would a maiden forget her ornaments, or a bride her headband? Yet my people have forgotten me, days without number. Why do you embellish your way to seek love? Therefore you have even taught the evil women your ways. Even on your skirts is found the blood of the lives of the poor innocents. You did not find them breaking in, but in spite of all these, you say, because I am innocent, certainly his displeasure shall turn from me. See, I shall bring judgment on you, because you say I have not sinned. Why do you go about so much to change your way? Even of Egypt, Mitzrayim, you are to be ashamed, as you were ashamed of Ashur. Even from this one you shall go forth with your hands on your head, for Yahuwah has rejected those you trust, and you shall not prosper by them. The Most High said, if a man puts away his wife, and she goes from him and becomes another man's, does he return to her again? Would not that land be greatly unclean? But you have committed whoring with many lovers, and would you return to me, declares Yahuwah? Lift up your eyes to the bare heights, and see, where have you not lain with men? Beside the ways you have sat for them like an Arabian in the wilderness, and you made the land unclean with your whorings and your evil. Therefore the showers have been withheld, and there has been no latter rain. When you have had a whore's forehead, you refuse to be ashamed. Shall you not from now on cry to me, my Father, you are the guide of my youth? Does one bear a grudge forever? Does one keep it to the end? See, you have spoken and done the evil that you could. And Yahuwah said to me in the days of Yoshiah the sovereign, have you seen what backsliding Yasharal has done? She has gone up on every high mountain and under every green tree, and there committed whoring. And after she had done all these, I said, return to me. But she did not return, and her treacherous sister Yehudah saw it. And I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Yasharal had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda did not fear, but went on committing whoring too. And it came to be through her frivolous whoring that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and wood. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda has not turned to me with all her heart, but falsely, declares Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to me, backsliding Yasharal has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, O backsliding Yasharal, declares Yahuwah. I shall not look on you in displeasure, for I am lovingly committed, declares Yahuwah, and I do not bear a grudge forever. Only acknowledge your crookedness, because you have transgressed against Yahuwah, your mighty Most High, and have scattered your ways to strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, declares Yahuwah. Return, O backsliding children, declares Yahuwah, for I shall rule over you, and shall take you, one from a city and two from a clan, and shall bring you to Sion. And I shall give you shepherds according to my heart, and they shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And it shall be when you have increased and shall be fruitful in the land in those days, declares Yahuwah, that they no longer say, the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. Neither would it come to their heart, nor would they remember it, nor would they visit it, nor would it be made again. At that time, Yerushalayim shall be called the throne of Yahuwah, and all the nations shall be gathered to it, to the name of Yahuwah, to Yerushalayim, and no longer walk after the stubbornness of their evil heart. In those days the house of Yehuda shall go to the house of Yasharal, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given as an inheritance to your fathers. But I said, how would I put you among the children and give you a pleasant land, a splendid inheritance of the host of nations? And I said, call me my father, and do not turn away from me. But indeed, as a wife betrays her husband, so have you betrayed me, O house of Yasharal, declares Yahuwah. A voice was heard on the bare heights, weeping supplications of the children of Yasharal, because they have perverted their way. They have forgotten Yahuwah, their mighty Most High. Return, O backsliding children, I shall make your backsliding cease. See, we have come to you, for you are Yahuwah, our mighty Most High. Truly delusion comes from the high hills, the noisy throng on the mountains. Truly in Yahuwah, our mighty Most High, is the deliverance to Yasharal. For shame has devoured the labor of our fathers from our youth, their flocks and their herds, their sons and their daughters. We shall lie down in our shame while our reproach covers us, for we have sinned against Yahuwah, our Most High, we and our fathers from our youth even to this day, and have not obeyed the voice of Yahuwah, our Most High. Who is the wise man that he understands this? And to whom has the mouth of Yahuwah spoken that he declares it? Why has the land perished? Has it been burned up like a wilderness with none passing through? And Yahuwah says, because they have forsaken my Torah, which I have set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, nor walked according to it. But they have walked according to the stubbornness of their own heart, and after the Baals, which their fathers had taught them. Therefore thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the mighty Most High Yasharal, see, I am making this people eat wormwood, and I shall make them drink poisoned water. And I shall scatter them among the nations, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I shall send a sword after them until I have consumed them. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, discern and call for the mourning women, that they come, and send for the wise women, that they come. And let them hasten and take up a wailing for us, and let our eyes run with tears and our eyelids gush with water. For a voice of wailing is heard from Sion. How we are ravaged. We are greatly ashamed because we have forsaken the land, because we have been thrown out of our dwellings. But hear the word of Yahuwah, O women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth. And teach your daughters wailing, and each one her neighbor a lamentation. For I restore health to you and heal you of those wounds, declares Yahuwah. For they have called you an outcast, saying, this is Sion, ain't no one seeking her. Thus said Yahuwah, see, I turn back the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have compassion on his dwelling places. And the city shall be built upon its own mound, and the palace stand on its right place. And out of them shall arise thanksgiving and the voice of those who are laughing. And I shall increase them, and they shall not diminish. And I shall esteem them, and they shall not be small. And his children shall be as before, and his congregation shall be established before me. And I shall punish all who oppress them. And his prince shall be from him, and his ruler shall come from among him. And I shall bring him near, and he shall approach me. For who is this who pledged his heart to approach me, declares Yahuwah. And you shall be my people, and I shall be your mighty Most High. See, the storm of Yahuwah shall go forth in a rage, a whirling storm. It burst upon the head of the wrong. The burning displeasure of Yahuwah shall not turn back until he has done and established the purposes of his heart. In the latter days you shall understand it. In the latter days you shall sing it. If you understand it and you realize that this song is what you should be singing, you know, just like I do, that we're in the latter days. If the Most High said it wouldn't be understood until the latter days, he meant it. He says what he means, and he means what he says. Ain't nobody gonna understand it until the latter days. We're in the latter days. Get on your face. Give Abba Yahuwah all the praise, all the honor, all the glory, all the esteem, all the time. Off your face. Get in the car, step on the gas. Come home, return to the set apart dwelling place.